So hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Amy Hessel. I'm the director of the Office of Undergraduate Research. I took over from Michelle Richards-Babb in August. I'm also a professor of geology and geography at WVU. So my experience with the WVU network has been relatively short, and Cynthia's been trying to coach me along the best she can. So this working on this presentation and learning about all the different components at WVU was really very, very helpful for me. I was definitely just in catch-up mode. So if you could go to the next slide. Thank you. So the WVU institutional team has the summer immersion program, which Cynthia runs, and I have been assisting her with this summer's program. We have an academic year scholars program, which Cynthia and Michelle contribute to. And then there's a First Two Club, which current directors are Jordan Means, Autumn Rogers, Oscar Enriquez, Garrett Bender, and Aubrey Cumberledge. And I know at least Oscar is on this meeting, but he's having sound issues. So I told him just to put in any of the things I get wrong into the chat so we can see what he has to say there. We also have a research team at WVU, and that's headed by Gay Stewart, John Stewart, Marjorie Dara, Roxanne Humbert, and Chris Wheatley. And they have a variety of activities, including doing a social network analysis, looking at first generation nests, which we'll get back to in a few minutes, and looking at rural factors and how those affect persistence. So there's a lot of people involved. So the research team is currently working on tracking some of the results of the PDSAs. So WVU has implemented over 40 PDSAs. And so we've got all these hundreds of students who have been affected by different activities, including the summer immersion, STEM clubs, semester course interventions. That's the embedded students that Fairmont State already talked about. And so there's now an assessment going on where they're tracking retention of students and looking at each of these PDSAs that each student was involved in to see like which ones were influential in retention and GPA, so persistence, I guess I should say. All right, next slide. Oh, right, and I guess I should say that's going to be presented at the May 23rd conference, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so from the First Two Club, we heard a lot of the same things that other folks have already mentioned about students really being proud of the support that they get from each other and the support that they provide to students. So you can see these are the comments that we pulled directly from them. And so community support, those were also consistent themes among our students. Next slide. I'm going to just whip through this, so Cynthia should have plenty of time. So what are the main challenges? This is, suffering from getting too big, right? It's a good problem to have. So the students are feeling like they're having trouble sort of managing all the different participants. And so there were a lot of comments about the club getting bigger and having a difficult time connecting with students as the club gets bigger. And maybe hard to manage the student engagement in the club. So that's like I said, a good problem to have, but still a problem I think that, we could benefit from trying to figure out how to manage that a little bit better. Okay, next slide. So what resources would the club like in order to help them maintain success? So financial issues came up a lot, but in this financial request, they have a very specific request that seemed like a great idea from Cynthia's and my perspective, which is for them to have a debit card rather than them having to get reimbursed. So I thought that was a real specific ask that would be really helpful to them because, it's hard when you're a student and you're going month to month and day to day, your bank account, you just can't be laying out money to provide stuff for club events. So I think that's a great idea. So they're just looking for better financial support and maybe more straightforward systems for dealing with that. So I love that suggestion, very concrete. Okay, next slide.
Well, I think it's me.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Cynthia.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Cynthia Pacheco. I'm the Assistant Director of the Office of Undergraduate Research at WVU. I work closely with Amy Hassel, and I've been working in the past with Michelle Bob, who is here also today to present. And I'm going to present the immersion. I mean, immersion, it's usually the first step for students to get involved in the network. They start participating in the first immersion experience during the summer. And it was coincidentally my way to get started in the network as well, because last year, Michelle invited me to be one of the co-leads in this experience. So immersion means a lot to me. And I'd say I'm a first generation college student as well. And I identify myself a lot with the First to Network. And I think I wish I would have something like this when I was a college student, because it would have made my life so much easier. So I'm very enthusiastic about what First to Network can provide to students. So the summer immersion at WVU started in 2019. It was the first experience. I just got that from Michelle, who ran this first experience at WVU. So in 2020, we did have also a virtual experience because of the COVID-19. Last year was my first time running the summer experience, and I will be leading the experience this year with Amy Hassel. So in this graphic here, I was trying to respond this question: what are we proud of around immersion? I can think about the faculty a lot. I'm really proud of WVU faculty who recognize the importance of this experience for students, and they provide the research experience, because actually we at the Office of Undergraduate Research, we run the experience, but without the faculty providing the research projects that students would be involved in, we could not have this experience at all. So I'm really proud of these people that embrace this experience for First to Network. But mostly we are proud of the students. I think it's like the students who inspired us to continue. So we are particularly proud of students who continue in research after they have this 2 weeks experience. And at WVU, there's different ways for students to continue their research projects or involved in research. We do have the research apprenticeship program, which is interesting because it kind of creates this pipeline between the summer immersion and the academic year scholars from First to Network. So a student can continually research through the research apprenticeship program, which is 1 year program. It's an academic year program. The students, they do research with a faculty mentor, and they also have an introduction to research class, which gives them like basic things related to research activities that help them to be successful in their research experience. So we do have students, I will just go back to the slides, as you can see here in orange, students who continue their research experience enrolled in the research apprenticeship program. Students can also participate in other like structured research programs at WVU, such as the Summer Undergraduate Research Experience, or the SURE program. They can participate in RUs as well, and faculty-supported research, although it's easier for them to participate in RAP, because for RAP, there is no competition. Everyone can participate in the research apprenticeship program, which makes them more competitive for these more advanced research experiences, such as SURE and RU. Here we can see also, like in right here, we see students that enroll like in other programs. I'd say like SURE, it's a big thing for them, especially because SURE also supports first generation students. I was just talking to Michelle last week, and for this year, 2022, SURE, 24% of students are first generation who are participating in the SURE program. So we are very proud of the fact that we can provide this continuation of research experience for these students at WVU. And as we can see here in this graphic, of course, the students, we have a percentage of students continuing research experience. But this led to this question: why don't more first-year students engage in academic year research? We wish all students who are like involved in summer immersion would continue in some way in the academic year research. So the question is why? we cannot involve more students. Since we know that engagement in a STEM community of practice is a good thing for retention and student success, as the literature shows us, why aren't more students taking lab appointments? And then what we did, and Suen helped us with this, this was a question that the network asked to students in the network, and some of their responses led us to have like this hypothesis after hearing them. They told a lot of stuff related to mentorship, like rude mentor, bad research environment, people just wanted me to do stuff that I did not like to, some of the responses led us to think that maybe we should prepare more these mentors, meaning like faculty, graduate students that have contact with these students, so they would be more prepared to receive them in research and make the environment of research much more likable for these students. So we are working in this PDSA. Our hypothesis is that if we train mentors, that will contribute to students who wanted to continue in research, because they will feel more like this environment is for them. It's a welcoming environment. So this is something that we are working in with the help of other institutions. So we do have challenges, and I think Heather just mentioned the bigger one of them for immersion, which is recruitment. I mean, why are we not reaching our intended students? I mean, we do not have much students seeking for the opportunities, and most of the students, they do not qualify because they are not first generation, they are not underrepresented in any way. So why are we not reaching our intended audience? When would be the best time to reach out to them? Should we reach out to them, like as Heather said, high schools are so tired at this time, seniors, they're not they just want to finish, high school. But when would be the best time? January, and then they will forget about it, so we kind of struggle with this. Who inside the network? I mean, this is not a good question because we have a lot of help inside the network. But I mean, who can help us with these specific questions? We need to discuss this and to improve recruitment, because without the students, we cannot have the experience. So what resources maybe? This is something that I thought about it because I had a conversation with a communication professional at WVU. And what if we have a professional help with advertisement? I know everyone helps with advertisement throughout the network. Everyone is willing to send an email, to try to connect with someone. But what if you have someone only with this task, advertisement, going to social media every week, every Monday, or every day, I don't know. I think we need someone to concentrate in advertisement and help us with this. We are not professionals of advertisement. We try our best, but it seems like it's not working. This is just an idea. So I will hand over to Michelle to talk about an academic year scholars program, which is the Embedded Student Project. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Richards-Babb. I was involved for several years with immersion, as well as being involved with the faculty-student engagement, which I think might have changed. But anyway, in response to COVID, when we weren't able to match students with mentors to do research because a lot of the research labs were closed, I had a conversation with Joanna Burke-Kinderman about how to support our students and pay them to do some network activities. And that's when we came up with this embedded student project, which Fairmont took on as well in a different iteration. So it was developed in response to COVID cancellation of those research opportunities, and it was a way to pay the students. So the goal was for the students to be, our first two students, our freshmen, our sophomores, they would already be enrolled in a math or chemistry class. We were focusing on those two classes initially. And the goal was for them to report out weekly and tell us what was going on with their class. Essentially, they reported out their hours devoted to lecture, their hours that they spent devoted to to additional study. And then they told us what topics in the class for that week they've mastered, what topics they felt comfortable with, and then what topics were totally confusing. And they also told us what the faculty member or their instructor did that helped them learn, and what they thought the faculty member could do, maybe from something a faculty member did in another class, that would help them better learn. And this they provided this feedback anonymously. Essentially, the feedback came to me, and then I took all the student names off and redistributed the feedback back to the course instructors. But it provided student voice for the faculty members as to what was going on in their classes. But it also provided feedback to the student, because they had to really think about their learning and focus their learning for the upcoming week. Next slide, Cynthia. And then eventually Marshall also was involved. So in fall 2020, we just had this going on with, I believe, about 13 students at WVU. And then Michael Norton got involved, and we had a couple students who also did some reporting out at Marshall. And there was an impact on the instructors, but there was also impact on the students. Some of the students mentioned that they changed their study habits based on mistakes that they had reported previously. It told them which classes they needed to devote more attention to as they were reporting out. It helped them remain active in class, because essentially every Saturday when they needed to report, they kind of went back over their notes and looked at the topics and put names to topics. And then I think started to self-evaluate, ooh, I need to do a little bit more studying. And it made them more aware of the topics that they were struggling on. And also some of them reported out on what their classmates were struggling on. We encouraged that as well. And then the student feedback led to changes that the instructors could make that ultimately impacted the students themselves, but also their instructors. So we have some data. I presented this at the West Virginia Academy of Sciences. So I've got really cool data on how many hours the students have spent in their classes. But if you want more on that, you're welcome to contact me. But this was an example of a PDSA that we did. We'd like to continue it, but hopefully we can continue it coming up. So I'll turn it back to Cynthia.
Thanks, Michelle. I mean, I still have like 30 seconds, so I'll be really quickly here. Mimi and I, we discussed, and Michelle as well, about challenges that we have as at WVU. I mean, we are a big group. It's kind of hard, like, to find, retain, and share information when we are such a big group, to know who at WVU is part of the First Two Network and then connect with them and see what everyone is doing. It's kind of hard. It's a challenge. And who is responsible for what, in the network? Sometimes this is a challenge as well. So who we should reach out to certain information. I think as things get bigger, these are like challenges for everyone, not just for us. We feel like leadership at WVU is too horizontal. So we kind of feel we need to identify some leadership, who takes the lead in certain tasks. I think we struggle with this sometimes. Who finds replacement when folks leave the network? It's some challenge for us as well to identify who it's going to be doing what, And communication, I think this aligns with communication as well. This is something that students brought to us. The workload for students, sometimes they feel it's too much for them, it's too high for the students. And at WVU, there's, a very competing first-gen program at WVU as well. So we wish we would have like more people involved in the first-gen network, or maybe collaborating more. I do not know how to put this in the right way, but there's other first-gen initiatives as well. And sometimes we feel like it's kind of competing with some things that we want to do as well, like recruit students for our programs. This is just something that we were brainstorming about, some challenges that we have, and some resources that we would need to maintain success. Organizational support at large institutions, like someone that could lead some tasks, and less dependence on volunteer for major roles. So we could have an easy information for everyone involved in the network inside the institution. I think I'm past my time, and I'm sorry for that. I would like to discuss more, but I think we have some time to discuss some of these challenges in the afternoon. Thank you so much. And once again, I'm really happy to be part of the First Two Network. Thank you.